Hello, everyone. Welcome to my reflections on the research I conducted on the perceptions in a small rural community college. So, I wanted to look at different perceptions of faculty and staff across a rural community college in which I serve as an instructor. And so, as we know, community colleges are made up of more than students who maybe go through college transfer to go to a 4 year. They have lots of job training opportunities. So, I found it important to reach out to other areas in my community college just to see what are some differences or what are some similarities between what other faculty and staff do in their roles here at the college. So, as we know, the community college has a variety of roles and responsibilities in each of its communities, and that's all across the United States. So, each community college is formed to meet the needs of its students in its community, and it must work to make sure that all of its students are being trained for the workforce and further higher educational studies. So, this makes the community college an intricate ecosystem that provides lots of different training and support, access, and guidance to its students within the community. And of course, the small Royal Community College is no different. And so I am an instructor at this community college, and this college is located in Cleveland County. And in Cleveland County is a small rural county in North Carolina, and it has a very low median household income of about $39,000 per year. But with such a low household income, they accessible community college access is really, really important. And so, an average semester tuition for our community college is about $912 for that semester. And that's a big draw for the potential students in our county. But that also means that we have to have a lot of training and diverse workforce programs to prepare our students for what's ahead. And as you can see, we are very affordable in comparison to local colleges and universities around us. Another college or university that is not on here is the only other competing institution of higher education is a small private university here, and its average semester tuition rate is $15,610, which makes this community college a viable opportunity and educational to meet their educational goals within our county. And of course, this community college was founded in 1965, and it was initially a branch of another community college, but it separated into an independent institution in 1967. And throughout the history of this community college, there have been three separate presidents, and the current president, number three, assumed presidency actually this year on April 1st of 2018. The students are also the center of life in this community college. Each student brings with them different experiences and hardships. The students do range in age from 15 years old all the way to over 65, and each are looking for different outcomes within the community and the community college. And so many students here are first generation students who are walking into this college experience for the first time. So not only does this community college provide an accessible education, but it's also providing them with a new experience that maybe no one else in their family has ever had. Um, in this community college, we also have a variety of academic programs as well. There are over 120 programs, including all degrees, diplomas, and certificates. Now, when it comes to actual degrees, associate degrees are far less, but when you count everything together, it's about 120 programs, or more than 120 programs. And so you can see this is an image taken out of the Cleveland Community College yearbook dating back to 1991. And so you can see some of the examples of their programs that they had back then. Some of them today are the same, and some of them are slightly different. So we had things like accounting, which we still have, and business administration. We at one point had fashion merchandising and different areas like that, criminal justice, and of course some of that has evolved, some has changed, and some we've added more throughout the years as well. And so basically, out of the whole entire community college, there are lots of needs that we need to take into account for each and every one of our students. So, in the research for this paper, I wanted to actually kind of look at what are some of the perceptions of faculty and staff outside of my area. And I thought that was really important. I thought it was important to understand what other faculty members have to do on a day-to-day basis, and why what their perceptions of how they work with students, whether that is college transfer students, whether that's training for a particular job, a certificate, or something like that. So understanding these perceptions outside of my area is really, really important. Also, I wanted to understand different job roles and functions that support student success. I understand my role, or at least I feel like I understand my role fairly well in training my students to be both moving on to a four-year university, but also training some for jobs in such as biotechnology. But of course, I needed to get a better understanding of the perceptions of other faculty and staff. And so I chose to interview three different individuals on their impressions and perceptions with working for the college. So, after conducting an interview, I did a self guided tour and observation period with faculty and staff members' work environment, and that was helping me carry out sort of what their role is, what they each do. The three participants that were interviewed on their perceptions did have a unique kind of experience to their roles in the community college. And basically, as I worked with them, I started to see a few things that kind of emerged as ideas. But one of my individuals that I interviewed, or one of my participants, was a college transfer individual, very similar to myself. However, they are a fine arts instructor. And that isn't actually a different transfer degree, although it is transferable to college or university, as opposed to the traditional Associate of Arts, Associate of Science, or Associate of Engineering. The fine arts programs have an Associate in AFA, or an Associate of Fine Arts. And those programs sort of prepare students to kind of go to a school where they can practice, say, things like photography or sculpting or things like that, that's outside of sort of that traditional science or art field that we have come to know as college transfer. And it's actually a relatively new program at this community college with only about 2 years into that program, so it is relatively new. I also interviewed a member of the cosmetology instructional faculty, and that is a vocational technical program. So they have certificates, they have degrees, and basically they train students to either go earn their licensure in cosmetology, or they also will train cosmetologists instruction, so they can train them in, after they've obtained their license in cosmetology and their certificate, they can then train to become an instructor as well. And then the third individual I interviewed was a member of the student success team, and this individual was a member in the minority support programs, and they were a staff member. So each of these took about 30 minutes to complete, and then I did a run through their area, kind of toured that. I was limited in some cases, such as in the cosmetology area. Individuals that are not either an instructor or a student that is working, or someone seeking a actual service, it's very difficult to walk around on the floor due to state laws and things like that. So I was very limited in what I could do, but I did tour where I could. So each participant that I interviewed was very detailed and forthcoming with the information that they provided throughout this whole process. And while each job description was different, each participant used their own training and their educational approaches to help the student throughout the college. Despite their different job functions and roles, and even in their program and academic areas. And there were several key things that kept emerging throughout the entire discussions and interviews and tours. And one of them was interconnectedness. And so as I kept thinking through these processes after I had interviewed each individual, is I've always known that all forms of learning are important, and that much of the knowledge we learn extends beyond our own subject matter. The coming up with interconnectedness kept coming up over and over and over. And what I noticed is that no matter what area we're in, we all take little bits of different subject matter and integrate that. So one of the individuals that I interviewed, which was in the cosmetology area, focused on the importance of learning the anatomical structures of the head and neck. And that was, of course, in cosmetology. So I never really thought about the importance of understanding bone structure and skin structure, especially from of the head with regards to, say, fixing hair or, coloring hair and things like that. So I never really thought about that. But according to one of the participants in cosmetology, the students, they when they study, they must have a working understanding of head and neck anatomy, and it is essential for them to understand what chemicals can do to the skin, how bone and structure muscles relate to the cosmetic arts, and of course, how to understand anatomical movements and orientations when actually discussing cosmetology techniques. So not only do students need to know this for the person, their client, or the person they're working on, they need to know this to communicate to their other cosmetologists or other people that they work with, their instructors as well. So I found this interconnectedness of anatomy and physiology, which is part of my area of expertise, and the cosmetic arts really show how every piece of information that is presented to students is important to providing them the skills they need for whatever job they go in. The other person in fine arts that I actually interviewed as well, I kind of knew a little bit about this, but they have request when they have a drawing class to actually come to the anatomy and physiology room to see the models of our skeletons and the models of our muscular systems so that the students can see what it looks like, I guess, quote unquote, under the skin, what they need to draw when it comes to muscular features. And so we've had fine arts instructors for the drawing courses come in and bring students so that they can see those models and use that. Another thing that I found that kept popping up over and over was passion. And it's just more than just passion as if they love their job, but it's passion for student learning and support. And that kind of revealed itself over and over, even though each participant had a different approach to helping students in their areas, and that passion was really expressed through the interview and their answers. The staff member is a member of the student success team and basically works with underrepresented and minority students. This individual works with as a mentor and an advisor for students. But in addition to mentoring and advising, this person is heavily involved in training students for job interviews. They host professional dinners to help students understand dinner etiquette that they may experience if, say, they have an interview where it's with a business that is at a dinner or in an afternoon at an office party or something like that as well. And so understanding dinner etiquette in a professional setting, whether it be through an interview process or just through meeting with a team after one's hired, is really, really important. In addition, they keep track of each student involved in their program. While this is very different from some of the support, discussed by other participants, it does show that everyone has their unique perspective, but how each faculty and staff member works towards bringing out the best in each and every student. Participant that was a fine arts instructor also discussed field trips with students to various museums to explore different forms of art, and having professional artists even come in to discuss not only how they've created their art, but how to become a professional artist in general. What are the steps that are needed to take in your field later on down the road? And so each participant was able to share different approaches to how their students succeed, and that came through his passion for that student support. And then, of course, the third theme that I really got out of all these interviews was that throughout the interviews, another interesting idea kept coming up that without even saying it, these individuals were discussing the mission of the college and how they were dedicated to it. To be fair, the mission of the college is quite vague, and that tends to happen in most colleges and universities. But despite what each individual or participant was teaching, doing, or helping with those students, they were indirectly discussing how they train and prepare students in the community and how they're better prepared for the workforce and further education. And so each participant had different ages, different education backgrounds, credentials, and taught in diverse areas. Each participant was ensuring that they're meeting the needs of the students in the community and providing them the tools they need to be this successful. And this really stood out to me because Without even saying it, they were discussing the importance of training students for further education and roles in our current community. And so I found that very interesting. And so my perceptions are, as I discussed through those themes, that one, everybody has a different approach, but they are dedicated in their own way to the mission and vision of the community college, especially in this community. In addition, we are all interconnected in ways that I really never truly understood. I knew everything that we learn is important, and knowledge for knowledge's sake is very, very important, but to actually hear it through other members of the college was really, really important. Um, so the role in this community college in training and preparing students is well known. And of course, a small rural community college has its own challenges and things it must face. But despite being a small community college, each member works to make sure that each student has their unique needs met. Despite those different job descriptions, different work hours, different contracts, each faculty and staff member works to provide each student the training above what is expected and what is needed for each student. And of course, they all created different learning experience for each student at the college that met the needs that they need. And so while faculty and staff may have different job descriptions, it is important to remember that everyone works towards a common goal. And really, I guess the big concept I got out of this that I think is so important is that in the end, we really are more similar than we are different. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation, and I'm looking forward to hearing any feedback and to hearing what everyone else has come up with. Have a great day.